Hey, so welcome back to my channel. My name is Sinn, and this is from Sinn's Perspective Reviews. And this is going to be a recap of Wu Assassin episode 6 and 7. So, episode 6 was basically a lot of conversations, heart to heart, and a few flashbacks. Okay, so it starts with Jenny and Tommy. It's like they're preparing for something. We don't know what. And then eventually you see Kai, and then Lou walks in, and they start talking, going over Kai's plan. Lou is the oddball. Now he's just like, this sounds like some bullshit. We should just go ahead and put a bullet in his head and then be done with it. But Kai was like, okay, let's do it my way. And if my way doesn't work, then we can do it your way. So then we have the flashback. So the flashback picks up where episode 5 left off, where Six and Kai are sitting there, and Six is going to have this conversation with Kai. So he basically tells him, Six basically tells him that he met with McCullen. He knows what McCullen has planned. He knows that the McCullen wants Six to, I guess, recruit the Earth Wu, but Six is telling Kai that you need to destroy him or do whatever you need to do because whatever McCullen has planned is not good for any of us. And of course, at this point, with the history, Kai is very skeptical of Six, and Six is basically trying to prove that he is trustworthy, that he's doing what he needs to do for the greater good. And so he basically said that if he could get rid of his power, that he would. And so he starts telling him about these talismans or these pieces, and they go into this whole backstory. And so Yin Yang comes in, and now kind of like, wait a minute, you told me the only way for them to release their power is for them to die. And so, but there's this other way where if all of the survivors touched by this particular Wu, if they combine their blood some kind of way to create what they refer to as this goo, and the Wu consumes this goo, that it will expel this power and they will be rid of it. Okay, so Yin Yang is basically like, Wu tried this before, it didn't work, he ended up being killed. And you can see Kai really doesn't want to kill Six for all his shortcomings and all the things that he's done. Kai really doesn't want to kill Six. He does care for him in his own way. So he wants to go this route first because he wants Six to have a chance. Okay, so at redemption. So this is what they were preparing for in the beginning. So Kai, Lou, Tommy, Jenny, they each cut their finger and I guess I don't know if they fed the blood or bled on these little creepy crawly whatever. Like I said, there was a frog, there was a scorpion, there was a spider, and there was a snake. And so once they were all combined, so the frog ate the spider, and okay, so the frog ate the spider. I guess the snake ate the frog, and then the snake ate the scorpion. So once that was all done and all their blood was combined to make this goo, he actually milked the spider for the goo and made this concoction. So then he sends Six attacks or got a phone call saying, okay, we're ready. So of course Zan is like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? She actually really doesn't want this to happen, but he goes in and they handcuff him because they said it's a very difficult process, it's painful, and they have to restrain him. So they go through the process, and it was like an arduous process. They basically have to watch over him because he was, you could tell he was suffering, he was in pain. Okay, so because Kai decided to do this, Yin Yang basically said that I can't teach you anything else. You've decided to go your own path, and basically that's the last he's gonna see of her, because it was what it was. But so while this is going on, Tommy and Kai, did this happen before or after? So okay, sorry, flashback a little bit. So before Tommy and before Six got there, Tommy and Kai were having a conversation. Tommy was telling Kai about this woman he met in one of the was it Narcotics Anonymous meeting named Alana, and how she has this abusive boyfriend. And then they flashed to this meeting where she told her story and then Tommy told his story, and they had kind of had that little back and forth, little flirting thing. And he wanted to know if Kai could help her out, and Tommy wanted to know if Kai could help out, I guess, with the abusive boyfriend. And Kai was just like, it doesn't work that way. And so, they had their little conversation. And then you flash to McCullen. He starts, he's having this hallucination with his family. Apparently, it's happened several times. And, like, he's having this conversation. He know that they're not really there, but he feel like, they're talking. And he feel like he's close to reuniting with them. And, they just had a little talk. And then he kind of blocks them out so he can focus on the task at hand. So now Jenny and Lou are now having a conversation. Jenny is Lou was asking Jenny, like, why didn't you come to me instead of going to Six? And she was basically like, I didn't want to put that on you. If I have an issue with you, then that's, they've been friends for forever. Friends, money can do some serious damage to friendships. And said, but if I have an issue with the triad, that's between me and the triad. He said, so when they started talking, he's like, so what? So the worst thing that I guess the triad would have done, they would have come in and take the restaurant. And so he was like, okay, so that's what you wanted. You actually wanted them to take the restaurant so you could be free of it. And she was like I said, I didn't want that on you. And which makes sense because, like I said, they've been friends for forever and a day. And he knows what that restaurant means to their family and to her parents. And so she just didn't want to put him in that situation, that position. So that's why she went to Six. And so Tommy and Lou are now having a conversation. And so Tommy and Lou are now having a conversation, and Lou basically apologized to Tommy. One of the biggest issues that Tommy had is the guilt over what happened, because for years everybody blamed him because he was supposed to be the lookout. He went into the room, which locked him in that room. When the door closed, it locked, and the fire and the whole thing, and Lou being burned. And so for years everybody blamed him, and so the weight of that, it actually played a role in him, I'm assuming, eventually getting into drugs or whatever the case may be. But so Lou was now apologizing to him, and he was like, man, we didn't know. No, nobody knew. And so Tommy, he had to really come to terms with the fact that, okay, that it was just a bad situation. I mean, it was fucked up that he took the blame for all those years, but at the same time, it wasn't something that was intentional. It wasn't something that was done out of malice. They just didn't know. So as far as they knew, you were the lookout, and you the one that fucked up. So okay, so we come back forward. Okay, so now they have Six there, and they're watching over him. So while this is nothing that happens quick; it happens over time. And so they, I guess, have decided that they're going to take turns, like watching over him to see, how things are progressing. So Lou and Kai are having a conversation. So after he's okay, so now we're doing the flashback of Lou and Kai having a conversation. So this is when Kai initially came up with the plan. He wanted Lou to get come up with Lou was the one who gathered the creepy crawly animals, the frog and the spider and the snake and the scorpion. So initially Lou didn't want to be a part of it. He just wanted to kill Six and be done with it. Kai didn't want that, and so they kind of had a little tiff. They had a little argument, and Kai was like, if you want to help me, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. So Kai left, and obviously eventually Lou came through and helped his friend out. Okay, so Zan and Jenny. So Jenny is in the office, and Zan walks in, and of course Zan is like, why? She really doesn't want him to go through with this because he. Obviously, she doesn't trust them. They don't trust her. Any of that. That's just a mess. So she doesn't want him to do that. And so they started having a conversation, and Zan is basically telling Jenny that she came from nothing, and Six saw potential in her, and so he's not actually her sister. Her brother. I guess she was saying they're brothers and all because they both work for the Triad, and she just feels that kind of connection with him because he took her under his wing. And as far as she's concerned, he's her family. And Zan was like, if you know what it's like to have nothing, then you'd understand. And so Jenny was basically telling her the flip side of that. No, the flip side of that is having everything. But along with having everything is also these expectations and this need to be perfect. And so she's like, they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, but their issues are similar. She's like, growing up here and having two parents who gave me everything that I needed also came with its own set of obligations and responsibilities. So they kind of sort of found some common ground, but in the end, Jenny was like, after all this, things will be different. Six will be different, but Zan was like, but I won't. So Zan walks out, and then you have the flashback. So, okay, in the last episode, you saw Jenny. She went to the little fight club and wanted to fight. Wanted the guy to contact Zan to come down so they can have a rematch. And so this flashback is their actual fight. Once again, Jenny, she fought a good fight, but she got fucked up. She was all the way fucked up. Actually, I think that if things hadn't gone away, Zan could have actually killed. She was that fucked up. But she fought the good fight. Okay. So Tommy is now watching over Six, and Six is, going through these I don't know, like this power or whatever is just messing with his head. And so now he's like taunting Tommy, is like, just let me go and, just be a man for once. And And then eventually Tommy pulls out a gun and he was about to shoot the shit out of Six. But they came in, took the gun from Tommy and gave the gun to, I think, Jenny. Jenny put it in the safe. And he went on, shortly after that, you can see something starting to happen, and then the power comes out. Kai now has the Wu. I'm so called a stone talisman. I don't know. Still have the fire Wu talisman. Okay, so and obviously Six survived. So I forget what happened, but they ended up going to check the safe. Tommy was gone. They would have checked the safe. Tommy took the gun. So they're like, oh shit, what is he about to do? So Kai and Six. So Kai now has Six in the truck. He meets up with Gigi. He gives Gigi the stone and basically tells her to hide it somewhere. He doesn't want to know where it is, and obviously he doesn't want anybody else to know where it is because they just don't. Okay, so Gigi takes the stone there, so they go their separate ways. Okay, McCullen. So this end of episode 6 was Zan going to meet with McCullen. And McCullen is he's basically like, okay, so what's going on? So Zan goes and tells McCullen everything. How Kai is the Wu assassin, how Six gave up the fire Wu powers, and she knows who he gave it to. And so now Zan is trying to make a deal because now it's a power grab. Now there's this power vacuum because Six doesn't have the power anymore. And she's now trying to throw her hat in the ring. So that's basically how episode 6 ended. So episode 7, so it opens with this woman in the cave and this guy. And he's asking her all these weird questions. It's like, what the hell is going on here? Okay. So, and then he says her name. Her name is Jill. And so Jill is sitting there scared to death, like she don't know what the hell is going on. This creepy man is sitting across from her asking her a bunch of damn questions, and then he done got her locked up in the cave. Okay. So Kai is back in his apartment. He's doing the web search, trying to find out who the Wu assassin is. He finds out McCullen told Six the guy's name, James Baxter. So he does some research on James Baxter, and they decide to hit the road to find this James Baxter. So of course they're in the car together. They're having these conversations. And he's basically telling him, you're going to have to kill him. You might have to kill him. You might have to kill him. And at this point, Kai hasn't killed him, but he's not a killer. And so they're having a conversation. Of course, it's not going the way Six wants, but Six is also, he's also sick because he's had this power for however many years, and so he's never been under the weather. So it's like he looked like he's about to die, and I think he just basically has a cold. But I mean, it's just weird to see him going from this dapper, powerful guy to now this sickly, pale looking guy that's all wrapped up in the sheet, and he keeps telling Kai to turn the heat up because it's freezing, because he hasn't experienced that in over a decade. So it's really it's an interesting. So, okay, so we're back in the cave with Baxter and Jill. He's asking her a bunch of questions. Then you hear this guy calling out for her. And he can sense, Baxter can sense that somebody's getting close to the house. So he leaves to go find out what's what. Okay, so Kai and Six, they're still having the conversation. And Kai, he's trying to explain to Kai that you don't know what Chinatown was like back then. I did what I thought was best for the greater good of our community. And of course, Kai doesn't see it that way. He was like, "You killed a man." So then they flashback. So you finally get to see how Six got the fire Wu power. So you go back to that episode where Kai, the guy put the gun in Kai's hand and was telling Kai to shoot the guy, and Six took the gun and shot the guy. And I guess during the part where he took the body to bury it, that's how he found it, and that's how he got the found the talisman or whatever, and that's how he got the fire rule power. So finally, okay, I'm trying to figure out through all this, are they ever going to explain how he got this power? There you go. And Six Six is now still trying to talk to Kai, and basically like, you know that you're going to have to kill him. This is going to be a kill or be killed situation. And so he ends up getting sick and getting sick and end up having to pull over. And so he ends up throwing up. And then you see Lou. So you find out Lou has been following them this whole time. So, so he gets sick and he jumps back in the car. And so he gets sick and he jumps back in the car. Okay, so I'm getting some stuff. I had to take a bunch of notes. Okay, so they carry on, and the guy eventually makes it to Baxter's cabin, and he knocks on the door. Baxter answers the door, like, "I'm looking for my girlfriend. You got da da da." And of course, Baxter, he's just this odd guy. He's like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about. No, nobody's been here." And so the guy was like, "Can I come in?" And he kind of look around, and he's like, "Jill is not here." The guy's like, "Wait a minute, what do you mean? How do you know Jill?" He's like, "Your voice is Carrie." So he heard him. He's claiming he heard him call out for her. And the guy wanted to come into the house, so he ended up letting the guy in the house. So we already know how that ended. Okay, so he's back down there asking Jill more questions. And she's still trying to figure, no, I'm not answering any more questions until you tell me what the hell is going on. And so basically something is happening to him. I don't know if there's only a certain amount of time the person can have the Earth Stone. I think it's at the point where now it's killing him, and he's looking for someone to take his place. So that's why he has her there, and he's asking her all these questions. And yeah, so he wants to know when he dies, she'll take over. So Kai and Sick, they eventually stop in his little town for breakfast. Kai, because he got sick, he got vomit or something on his shirt. He had to go over to the spot to get a shirt. So Kai is sitting there. He had already ordered breakfast, and Six walks in. Now to see this man who was tailored down, okay, in his little suit, with this damn raggedy t-shirt that had something on it and some. It was too funny. Even Kai had to chuckle a little bit. I think he was looking at that like, "What the hell you got on?" But whatever. So they sit down and eat, and then of course some ignorant woman, the waitress, comes over and she says something inappropriate to them. They want some Asian something, and so Six went into the history of Chinese Americans and how they came here and the laws that were passed and how they're just as American as her, and basically just made her look like a damn fool. And so she was like, ass, and she walks off. And of course she goes to the table of the good old boys and basically like she was just so offended, even though her ass was fucking offensive, right? And so they go over to start some shit. And then obviously, a fight breaks out. So now they've had their little bonding father-son moment. And of course they kicked everybody's ass and then they got on their car and rolled the hell out. That's what it was. Okay, so Kai and Six, they've set up camp, and then they're sitting there talking, and Six goes into the story of how he met Kai. How Kai was in this container. Kai's father was dead, and he kind of took Kai under his wing. It was something about Kai. He just felt that Kai was a fighter. It was something about him that impressed him. So he took him under his wing. And he was like it was something that Kai was saying. I can't remember the saying. I should have wrote it down, but he found out that he thought the saying meant one thing, but the saying actually he was saying no father, or something fatherless or no father or something. And so that's when he realized that, because he put Kai in this school or something, or he was trying to help the kid, but the kid kept running away. And so eventually he ends up keeping him and raising him. And that's why he's so attached to Kai, and he thinks of him as his son. That's why he has so much love for him, because he basically took him under his wing and he raised him. And so you can see Kai sitting there, and he's like, okay. But you can tell with all, like I said, all this animosity that Kai has towards Six, he does have love for him in his own way. So they said their goodnights, and in the morning, Kai got up and he snuck away and to go to deal with Baxter. So when he left, Lou pulls up, and all you hear was a gun cock, and then you see Six wakes up, and so now Six is face to face with Lou and Lou's gun. So it's flashing back and forth. The scene is flashing back and forth between Kai and Baxter and Lou and Six. So Kai makes it to the house. Baxter actually opens his door, closes the door, and then Kai heard a gunshot. So we're to assume that Lou shot Six eventually. But of course we haven't seen that. So he ends up going into the house to deal with Baxter. They have a pretty decent fight, but in the end, Baxter did ask, did McCullen send you? So he's already aware of what McCullen has planned, and Kai obviously wins. And before he dies, Baxter basically tells him, don't let McCullen get this power. He's trying to reunite with his family. It's going to be bad for everybody. Don't let him get this power. So he dies. Kai gets the talisman, and so when he stabbed Baxter, blood sprayed all over him. So he's now killed someone, and you can just imagine what's going through his mind. So he probably thought that he was going to be able to go back and talk with Six talking over with Six to kind of wrap my head around it. But he was now face to face with Lou, and so Lou and Kai are now standing there looking at each other. We haven't seen Six, so we don't know if he's dead, but all we know is we heard the gunshot. And that's basically how episode 7 ended. So of course I'm going to continue on because I need to know what happened to Six. My thought was that Lou was going to shoot Six, but Kai was going to get there in time before he died, and he was going to end up giving him the Earth Woo power to save his life. That's what I'm thinking might happen, but I'll come back obviously in a couple of days with episodes. How many is it? 10 episodes? So if it's 10 episodes, it'll be episode 8 and 9. So I'm going to leave this here, and I will talk to you guys later. And I think I've gotten my audio together, so I'm very happy about that. So yeah, I'm going to leave this here, and I'll talk to you guys later.